So, good morning, friends, trading friends. Today, the crypto or Bitcoin trading live, and it seems to be a very interesting week. During the last week, we had only one very important data: the core retail sales, unemployment claims, and nothing more. Not so important data, of course, the tensions between the White House and the Fed as regular. Some Fed members for and the others against the interest rates cuts. The White House, of course, appreciates an interest rate cut as soon as possible, but the majority of Fed members don't, and that sounds to me very logical because it is too soon to expect and see the results of the tariffs that do not sound so pretty well. And therefore the market is, of course, under pressure. So I read, for example, this news: the US passes the first major crypto legislation. And of course, a lot of crypto sites, especially XRP, for example, that are making news, positive news for XRP, Bitcoin, and so on. Nothing against it. But as trader, so I'm looking what the market is doing now and in short and period time. So it's of course possible that Bitcoin can go to 200,000 and also higher, but not now. And that's pretty much important. So the strategy we are doing here is completely different and buy and hold strategy, or scalping, for example. Scalping is if you trade on lower time frames and so on. So let's see now, in the last half an hour, I read here, for example, we had US spot Bitcoin ETFs see continued inflows. Yeah, we have inflows in ETFs, but don't expect if the ETFs are rising, the Bitcoin is also rising. Is exactly the opposite, because the ETFs do not influence the move of Bitcoin, and we are talking here about Bitcoin Cash and raw Bitcoin. So if you are trading Bitcoin, for example, through a broker, you don't necessarily possess Bitcoins. So it can be a direct broker, which also allows you to trade and own Bitcoin partially or a part of that. It is of course possible. But if you own Bitcoin ETFs, crypto ETFs, it doesn't mean that you automatically are possessing Bitcoin and owning it. The ETFs, or every ETF, is, you need to imagine like a basket. And in your basket are, for example, apples, pie, eggs, and so on, different kinds of products. And a crypto ETF, for example, is a basket of different kinds of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and so on. And let's say this ETF says, okay, 10% or 50% of our basket is only Bitcoin. 10% is Ethereum, 5% is XRP, and so on. And it can happen that if Bitcoin is going up, Ethereum and others are down. Why? Because you trade here, as you can see, the current price of Bitcoin, which is 118,329 today on Saturday. It's traded against versus the US dollar. But on the other hand, there are also other crypto markets where Bitcoin is traded, let's say, against XRP, or Bitcoin traded against Ethereum, Bitcoin traded against Solana. And if Bitcoin has a very large and powerful bullish move up, so then you can see that possibly also in the other markets, Bitcoin is, people buy Bitcoin also and sell XRP, sell Solana, sell Ethereum. And all this market, the average prices together, and of course the average price of all the products in this ETF tells you, okay, this is now the current price of ETF. So if Bitcoin moves down or up, it of course influences the result of the ETF. So the ETFs are a kind of funds. And people who release the ETFs, let's say BlackRock, for example, or JP Morgan, that means that those institutions take everyday decisions to buy more Bitcoin, to sell Bitcoin possibly based on fundamentals or whatever. And the ETFs you see are the results of the decisions of the trading decisions of the ETF managers or fund managers or hedge fund managers or ETF trading managers. So you can have, for example, ETF traders who only buy. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin comes down, they buy. Bitcoin goes higher, they buy. Then you have another kinds of Bitcoin ETFs where the managers, if Bitcoin coming down or they think Bitcoin will fall deeper, they sell. And if Bitcoin starts to rise again, they buy. And then you see, in Bitcoin, if you compare then the chart of Bitcoin to the chart of those ETFs, you see, the ETF has a better performance, so less noise in development of the price of Bitcoin ETFs. But Bitcoin itself had a lot of fluctuations. For example, so the ETFs are the results of what markets are traded. With other words, the markets influence how an ETF develops or doesn't develop, or possibly also is making losses. Whatever, so here are a lot of, I see a lot of news about the inflows, but not directly in Bitcoin, inflows in ETFs, and that's something extremely different. A lot of people then think, okay, if people are buying Bitcoin ETFs, it means inflow in Bitcoin is rising. No, it's not the same. It's exactly the opposite. It just means people are attracted to the result or the past results of those managers and now want to spend their money or investment to put more money on that ETF. So then Pounded says, put all your money into XRP. That's very stupid. That's not good. Never make the mistake. Never put all your money in just one market, even it seems and you are 100% convinced, because this is the dumbest, the most bad decision you can do as trader or investor. Always diversify. Always diversify your money. Never put your money in one market. So, but with this news, you see that the news who is making fake or good news, I don't want to say that, but you can decide to see, okay, behind such news are crypto companies or crypto websites who are sitting on their Bitcoin or maybe crypto positions, who have been buying Bitcoin at 123 and were enthusiastic again. So in my last live video, I told you exactly we will go to 123, and we have been right again. So therefore we took that bullish move, the breakout of 112 something, and we shorted Bitcoin to 117,800, and then we traded it up again to 119.50 yesterday evening, where we sold and took profit and went down. And I'm coming, of course, to the chart to give you the next analysis, of course, in this live. But first, I want to mention also some facts. Very important if you're trading Ethereum and you were wondering why Ethereum had a 2 days move upside to above 3,200. The reason was that Peter Thiel backed Bitmain grabs more Ethereum, and also Donald Trump was buying, I think, about 500 millions, I read, of Ethereum. So 1 or 2 days before the summit, the last crypto and Bitcoin summit some days ago. So the Doge price, of course, a lot of people saying Doge is going higher. I don't think so. It will come down. And China defense growth model plans consumption as greater driver. Trump estimates 5 jets were down in the India-Pakistan conflict. Okay, it has nothing to do with crypto. So let's see what crypto news we have. The most important, I think. And during the last hours only, Trump signs stablecoin bill into law. So we had last week a lot of decisions of lawmakers and legislation regarding crypto, not only Bitcoin alone. So President Trump on Friday signed into a law bill that establishes the first federal framework for dollar-backed stablecoins. One of the biggest victories yet for a crypto industry, yes. But if you don't know what stablecoins are, they have nearly a value 1-to-1 to the US dollar. So if President Trump is supporting it, and we know that the US dollar during the last weeks or since beginning of this year have suffered, so around 40 have lost of 40% of its value. It does mean that, and I said it also in the last live video, it's also on my channel, you can watch it. the US dollar is gaining strength and becoming stronger and stronger, so the stable coins do. And that means this report is not directly supporting Bitcoin and other currencies, but the stable coins and the US dollar itself. Now, let's go together. We jump then into the chart, and you see here where we are, and you see at the price of 123,353 where we had the all-time high, or the new recorded all-time high. We had then at that level where a lot of people started to make the same mistakes again, and to buy the breakout, they got trapped very heavily. Why? Because low volume area, and the market moved before very important news and reports have been published. And at that level, so here, the very important news near of the all-time high have been released for the thousandth time again, and a lot of people missed to understand that the market moves earlier before the very important events and news are published. Also, a lot of information and news agency sites do not public anymore the very important events. For example, one company is Forex Factory. I don't like it anymore. They have been publishing the market media data or the economic data or whatever. But nowadays, you think, okay, after 4 o'clock, everything has been running. And then you see, oh, the market closed, but a big move is coming into the market. You look and you're searching for everything, what is happening now. And then some hours later, then Forex Factory published, yeah, a Fed member is talking now, or have been talking, or Trump was talking, was saying this. And this is very bad. This is very bad service. Do not use such news sites. I don't use them anymore. I have some others, but I'm not going to make the to make advertising for them, whatever. So we see now the market came down to 114,700. I'm sorry, 117,096. And then we had then a move up again to 119,068 yesterday. And this is a period we need to be very careful. Number one, we can expect the market going back to 117.96, possibly today, tomorrow, it can happen. But on the other hand, the market has the potential to go up again to above 121. And if this happens, then to 123,300. And once this happens, then you can now extend this red line to 123,353. And if the market is not going above or has a lot of troubles, and this is based on technical values and also fundamental catalysts, then we will go down to 117,000 first before the market will gain much more bearish potential down to 108,915. That means we will complete the double top exactly at all-time high or near of all-time high, and then the market starts a very strong sell-off. Why this point? Well, this is the level where the bulls started first to make this very fast move. Some days before, the actual or the current moves or buys of crypto by the insiders happened. As I said, for example, Peter Thiel or Donald Trump started then, and his team started to buy Ethereum secretly. They didn't publish that. And so, of course, some people do not do it. If somebody did it, so in 90% was involved in those insider trading decisions. But as traders, you have also your trading strategy. And this is much more relevant. It doesn't matter, we don't care what they do or what they say. We just look at the price because this is the most unmanipulated indicator at itself, the price itself. So the price cannot be manipulated, as many people say, oh, markets are manipulated. Exactly, markets are manipulated, but the price is not manipulated because the price is the result of all manipulations you can see, at least. And all information are already in the current price. So the current price is reflecting what has happened in the past, what decisions are taking now, and even what decisions of future are existing in the current price. So therefore you have your trading strategy, and therefore you need to have discipline and to improve your trading strategy. So whatever at this level at 108,915, the buyers may start to try to defend their positions. And the main buyers are the trend followers, the trend holders, of course, and also buy and hold investors who are already in with the market and try to push Bitcoin higher. You may read also news, for example, in the next week, Bitcoin buyers will aggressively buy Bitcoin. So get calm, relax, don't let yourself influenced by those words like, for example, aggressive or enthusiastic or best time, perfect time. Every word that is creating tension or emotions in you while you are trading, because that's exactly where it leads you to make mistakes, and we don't want you to make mistakes. Therefore, we make also these live videos so you can gain of it. Now, if the price is coming here, it gets very critical, because if we break, and it will be a range between 108,915 and 102,537. So we will have possibly a range and up and down of the price between these two prices, which is creating this range or this bullish range. But if the price breaks only one tick below 102,537, it will look not too good, because it will lead to 98,173. And this is the reason why, because there we have a very big gap. So the price has been consolidating for a longer term. And then we had a sudden move up, and that has been creating then this very gap, as you can see. So this gap is really dangerous below 117,096. If the price starts to remain there and has difficulties to get up, it can be dangerous for the Bitcoin buyers. So, and we see here also a range, but as you can see, we are on daily chart. On the same time, in this range, we have very big gaps too, and that will cause an increase of volatility, meaning the price rises fast down, and with the same speed, the price starts to rise up again. And that is making then, for some day traders, especially people who are maybe new in trading or in the world of trading, or people who are breakout traders, people who are very late buyers, for example. So this very high volatility is making life for them very difficult, because there is also the danger of margin call. So the price goes very fast and very long distance against you, and now you try to decide to take the loss or to stay in, to buy new, to make a new average. If you do that, do you have enough capital? If you do it, what gives you the guarantee that the price doesn't go deeper? And of course, you are right. You are exactly right with all those touts, because if the price continues, and we know the very market movers, they don't buy the breakouts, they sell exactly at the top, they buy exactly at the bottom. And if they have let the market calm down, now ask yourself, if you would be in their positions, what would you do as seller? Of course, you would push the market much more deeper. Why? Because you might want to buy it back or to buy Bitcoin if Bitcoin's price is lower. With other words, for the same amount of money what you can trade now, you can buy more Bitcoins if Bitcoin is coming or is becoming cheaper and cheaper. With other words, losing value. And this is exactly what the market makers are doing. So, of course, a lot of tensions in the market. We have the tensions still existing in the Middle East, and surely those tensions directly affect the price of crypto. 5 minutes ago now, for example, Donald Trump officially signs the Genius Act, in landmark victory for crypto industry. Again, and this is not something new. So everybody was informing about it, and we may go down to, if you go to the range of the last 365 days, we go then to the southern, to the deeper levels, because once breaking below this level, we will face the next gap, which is at 86,764. You see this very long tail on daily chart. And on the same time, the filling of this gap will lead back Bitcoin deep down to 74,639. So from 123,000, that's a very, very big move. And that will cause, if this happens and the price goes down to that level, then Bitcoin will have a very big trouble. Why this? Because exactly, so I try to mark it if I can. Let me see. If Bitcoin breaks below that level, and so if Bitcoin breaks below this level, then look yourself. Then it means that the market wants to go and fill this gap first, and this gap is at, let me check, 67,544. So where we already have been already during the last 3 or 4 years. And then the impossible will become possible, and that will be then 42,000 to 48,778. Now, on the same time, based on market structure, if this happens, that means Bitcoin from here, if you're trading with market technique, for example, or market structure, is automatically in a very bearish move. And if this happens and the market is getting around 50, let's say 55 to 69 range, then you will have, of course, a pullback up if Bitcoin has no power to get off again. What does it mean? That means the market from here, this level, starts to sell much more powerfully, or the sellers, where they have been selling Bitcoin from these levels, they will sell much more Bitcoin. All right, this is, like I said, at this moment we are in a correction phase. So do not worry too much, but be very prepared. Everything can happen. And keep in mind, we can go, first of all, to 123. If no break above it, then it will complete the double top, and then they start to sell slowly first, and then the more time passes on, they will push this bearish move. Now we would like to see what would happen if the other scenario is coming first. If we're breaking above, potentially we can go to 227,582. Why? Because we have there nearly no resistances. If the market is breaking off and it does not react immediately, step by step, price after price, level after level, and the market is going up and it's not coming down, it means that from here the bulls are trying to push Bitcoin as high as it can. And where does it end? If you answer now, yeah, at 132, at 1 million, you're absolutely wrong. Where can it end? It can't end only at that point where we have a fundamental or economic or geo-economic or global or geopolitics catalyst that will stop that bullish move. With other words, where the market starts to build and create the first resistances, and that price is only valid. So it's not validated, and it's far from every kind of intelligence, smartness, logic. If we say the price goes to 1 million, the price goes to 5 million, or that guy, what's his name? Michael Saylor, Bitcoin goes to 42 million. These people are just crazy. Never believe them. Scammers, Ponzi's. A real smart, intelligent trader or investor never tells you this. The market goes until the market decides not to go further and tries to return. That's all. And maybe you should keep care more about your money, because at least it's your own money you put in the market, and one bad or mistake or wrong decision can cost you 100% of all your money. So when trading, we're working with your own money. Trust only yourself. Be logical, be objective. Trust only yourself. Read the news, of course, investigate, make your researches, but never believe 100%. It's better that maybe you have 10% doubt if you have 90% confidence, but it's good and healthy to have also 10% doubt, fear. And fear is not meaning that you are a bad person. Fear is not meaning that you are a weak person. Fear means that something inside you, a good friend, is telling you, okay, be careful. Look around. Look what is happening. Are we in the same direction planned? Yes or no? Maybe we need to stop, to take a rest, to see what happens next, to have patience. Patience is perfect timing, right? So, but now technically spoken, if the market goes and breaks above 127,500, then we potentially means that we have the possibility will be a little bit higher, that we can go to 132,513, and then we can go possibly or potentially, if nothing serious happens, to 139,473, and so on. So level after level, 144,315, 156,276, 163,087. To me, technically spoken, it will be the first area based on my technical knowledge and experience. It could be potentially the first real barrier if the market breaks above 123,353. So, and I say, I'm saying often potentially, because there exists also possibility that we cannot reach. It is nothing for 100%. So don't take anything for granted. It's just based on some psychological numbers, psychological levels, and all of the past performances. And you know that trading involves risks, and the past performances never can give you guarantees about the profitable winning results of future. Why? Well, look what happened since the beginning of 2025. We have a very big volatility and all the events what have happened. And of course, all these events like tariffs announcements, then tensions in the Middle East and so on, all of these events are themselves catalysts, and in these events or during these events are happening, always are people where they make money while a lot of other people are losing money. Never forget that. If Trump says something, ask yourself who is making money with what Trump says and who will lose money if you're trading Bitcoin. What has Bitcoin to do, for example, with tariffs on Japan? Or what he said, for example, is that he will put more tariffs on other nations soon. So that's the way he's talking all the time. So yeah, so Trump on trade deals, big ones to announce soon. Trump, we have a couple of big trade letters going out. Could be today. Okay? Trump, when I send out the paper saying 35%, 40%, it's a deal. Trump, not going to let the dollar slide. Trump, losing the dollar as a reserve would be like losing a war. And that's exactly what I said at the beginning of my video. Whether even Trump wants or doesn't want, there are a lot of big, potentially financial, powerful people behind Trump who make the decisions. It's not Trump itself. You see only Trump saying it this or that, and it seems that he's making the decisions. No, you're wrong. Trump is making decisions, but have been already talking to those people behind the doors first, because there are a lot of powerful people behind Trump. So maybe Trump is a kind of representative. Yes, he has a lot of rights as the US president and to do, of course, rights by law. But, you know, we are living in a world where money is speaking and money is power. You don't have money, then you have no power. That's the reality. You can accept it, you can deny it. This is your decision, of course. But money rules the world. And behind the industry, there are a lot of very powerful institutions led by people, powerful, financially powerful people. And they, of course, support if someone is getting the next US president. Not only the vote of the people. But this is how policy works. We don't want to get deeper or to dive deeper into policy. We are traders, right? But we don't care about it because we have one very important and wonderful, powerful tool, and that's just enough for us. And this is our trading system. Our trading system is much more powerful than them all. We don't want to rule or to govern the world, We want to happy trade, to have good profits, trade with happiness. Of course, somewhere there are also losses. What do? We keep the losses very, very small, and we let the profits run until the market says, all right, guys, now I'm going to the other way. Do you like to accompany me, or do you like to rest, maybe to not trade, or do you like to bet against me? And you have all these options. So some people say, okay, I take profit, I stay out. Some people say, okay, I had very good time as the Bitcoin rose up, and now I want to make some profits when it's going down. And some people say, no, I believe it's going higher. I stay with my bullish positions. If you think the market is going down, all right, but I stay bullish. Well, everybody takes its own decision. So, and what do I do? Well, currently I am short until I have a good reason to buy. And I don't see at this moment, not today, the reason. Maybe it's coming late tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe we don't get the double top, it's going much more deeper, like the first scenario. Maybe I get the reason to liquidate my selling positions and to prepare myself to go long again, because maybe I can see that we are forming first the double top. So at the price of 117,000 to buy Bitcoin, let it go maybe to 121, 123 to see what's happening next. This is also a good for a short-term profit potential. Maybe we can go even above, and then all this can happen. And it is trading is about maybe, and maybe again. Therefore, it can potentially happen that we go higher. It can potentially happen that we start building a range here for the next time. And it can potentially happen that we break through and then the market coming down again. But what I certainly surely can do is, I wish you having a nice weekend, guys.